Hey guys, my name's Luca, and today we're going to be comparing the performance of different invoice slash receipt scanning software. So I've gone and with the help of, Claude, I found, probably one of the most used 12 different receipt scanning software in Australia. And what I've done is I've gotten these two like pretty difficult receipts. Like one is this, which is like the photo's obviously pretty terrible. There's like some curvature going on the receipt. And then the other one is this bit easier to scan invoice, but it has some funky things like the due date, and it's also got a discount. So I'm going to upload both of these different invoices to every single software on this list, and we're going to find out what comes out, and then we're going to compare what comes out. And we're also going to look for other features like, does the thing have a Xero integration? What kind of documents does it handle? So on and so forth. And at the end, if we've got the prices here, I guess we'll know which one does the best invoices. Now, a lot of these software, like for instance, Easy Bills, in fact, like most of these guys, invoice scanning is only one of like 10 or 11 features that they offer. So it's not the only thing to judge these pieces of software on. I'm just interested in purely the receipt scanning performance. And the reason that I'm interested in it is because I actually just built a receipt scanning piece of software called LedgerGrind. It scans your invoices and puts them into Xero automatically. And I just want to know where the thing that I built stands up against the rest of the market. Looking at it now, since my thing has a lot less features than everything else, I'll probably have to be a lot cheaper. But maybe the thing I've built is actually better at scanning invoices. And if that's the case, then I guess that's a value prop. Anyway, so I'm just going to go through all of these guys, test them, and I'll make all the outputs in this spreadsheet and everything available to you so you can make your own decision. Hopefully my thing stands up. Maybe it won't. We'll see. Yeah, it's taking me like 20 minutes to go through these two. This is going to be a long, hard, annoying day. But I just have to call out Easy Bills as being complete dog shit. Just like utter trash, which is not very nice to say. The product presumably focuses on other things, but like this is the scan of this invoice. You see all these line items and stuff here? None of it. Nothing. It gets the invoice date wrong. That's the due date. And it also gets the amount wrong. So interesting. I assume that all the providers would actually be like pretty good and pretty decent, but even with an easy invoice like this, Easy Bills is completely falling over. So okay, hopefully there are way better ones. Hopefully there are much, much better ones. Let's see. Oh my god, finally, fucking we got one that does line items. Holy camoli. So there you have it. DocuClipper is the only one that knows what line items are and can deal with them. So that's good. Okay, how many did we go? This was literally the last one we looked at. And for 55 AUD a month, we get those line items. Okay, good. That was grueling. That was a grueling time we had there. But we got to the end, and here are the results. Here they are. This is like a rough, high-level assessment of the receipt parsing of all the different providers. And here's like the actual raw parsed outputs for every provider in here in this spreadsheet. So all of this will be available to you. So will the original receipts. So you can have a look at it and like come to your own decision. But like, what's the bottom line? Bottom line, the thing I built is the best. Okay? Completely neutral, completely objective assessment here, and LedgerGrind is the highest scoring. So the whole point of this list is that it refers to tools that anyone can use, that you don't need to be like a tech whiz to use. And all of them, the idea was that all of them would have a Xero integration, i.e. there's an option where you can upload your receipt and it'll appear in Xero without you having to do any data entry in between. That was the idea. So there are probably a lot of tools that I haven't included on this list because they don't have that. But if there are any other big ones, like I know Dext is a really big one, and AZBills is big, and then so is HubDoc. If there are any other really big ones that I've missed, please let me know, and I'd really like to know where they fall on this kind of like line scale thing. Okay, so we've seen the high level. Now let's just look at some examples. And just before we go on, I want to make note of the fact this is the next day, and ReceiptBot finally finished processing. It took at least an hour and a half, and also HubDoc finally finished processing. Again, it also took an hour and a half to do both receipts. So the values are a little different than they were yesterday. But okay, bottom to top, let's go to bill born, which is also scanned to invoice. As you can see, it didn't get line items, but it got the rest of the details correct, which is great. So here we go. That's the amount. That's the correct date. Description, great. It even gives us sort of a description and also gives us a contact. So excellent, right? Like that's exactly what you want if you don't care about line items. Billborn is looking really good. And of course, Billborn/scan to invoice is the cheapest at $10 a month. So if that's what you want, great, excellent. Billborn/scan to invoice is very solid. Okay, HubDoc. That's sort of the next one up. As we can see, HubDoc, how did it do? Yeah, so again, no line items, but it got the big three: cost, issuer, and due date. No, issue date. And yeah, so here we go. Date, amount, and supplier. So the one issue with HubDoc is that it took a long time to process this Piedmontese receipt. Again, it took about an hour and a half. Weed Plumbing, it was very quick, but it took a while. And the UI is like pretty good with HubDoc. The other nice thing about HubDoc is it's free with Xero. So if again, price is the thing you care about, and you only want the big three here, cost, issuer, and due date, then HubDoc's great. If you already have a Xero account and that's all you want, then I wouldn't use anyone else. Dext, another very big player, and as you can see, like quite accurate. In addition, they also give us like a few more things. They give us like tax, and they compare the tax to the net. So that's nice. They can also tell us it's a category of food. So that's like, some just nice little extra bits and bobs. And as a consequence, Dext seems like a little better than HubDoc. I'd put it like a little bit higher. Don't know if it can necessarily justify the price, which is like way more. It's like $40 a month at like the minimum price. So yeah, a bit more expensive, but gives you a little bit more. So it makes sense. Next one is ReceiptBot, who I have very mixed feelings about. On the one hand, it does get all the line items, which is great. And it's super cheap. ReceiptBot is like $11 a month. So great, nice, awesome. The only issue is, firstly, it gets the issue date wrong. In this case, it thinks the issue date is the 10th of February, but it's actually the 2nd of October here. So maybe it's like using UK dates, I don't know. The other thing about ReceiptBot, and I'll show you right now, is that the UI is terrible. There's just so much loading and nonsense. Look at this. Look at this. This has taken so long. Okay, and finally, the Rolls Royce here, the Rolls Royce of receipt parsing things is DocuClipper, which I guess while we're waiting, we'll just get it to load. Yeah, so it does take a little loading, but nothing compared to ReceiptBot. And here we go. So this is the Piedmontese receipt, and it got everything. It got the correct amounts for everything, correct date, correct total. So, and also got the supplier. So like, great. It also didn't take an hour. It took like, a minute, 2 minutes. So DocuClipper is the most expensive, $55, but it's the most consistent of all of these guys. Of course, it's not actually the most consistent. The most consistent and the best is LedgerGrind, which is the one that I built. So, like, if you look at the score that I gave all these guys, I scored it the highest. So you can tell based on that it's the best. I'm going to show you the receipt that LedgerGrind passed for the same Piedmontese receipt. Here we go. That's the receipt, and here are all the line items. So same as DocuClipper, just gets the same things. Very nice. We don't have a UI. LedgerGrind has no UI. So obviously, like all these other things that I'm comparing, it's kind of not a fair comparison because all of them like do heaps and heaps of different things. Where LedgerGrind, all it does is parse receipts and put them into Xero. Anyway, this is what we get from LedgerGrind, and two cool little fun features LedgerGrind has. Firstly, it automatically maps all your expenses to an account that's reasonable, which is what it's done here. It's taken these office drinks and put them in office expenses. And it also, this is kind of a little fun cherry on top, it also calculates GST correctly. So the keen-eyed among you will notice that if the cost is $81 and the GST is 10%, why are we seeing a GST of 6.2? It should be more like a GST of 8. So what's going on here? And the reason is that technically simple foods like apples or bottles of water are considered GST free. And so we're not being charged GST on this $19 here. So that's what's going on. So there's like, LedgerGrind just means that you get a little bit more accurate GST parsing without even having to know the GST rules, which no one should have to do anyway. You'll notice that it's not like everyone else was wrong. For instance, auto entry calculates VAT and it gets the same amount, and that's because the VAT was given to us on the receipt. So it's like not as if everyone's like completely wrong or anything, but the line items are actually correctly mapped to each correct amount of GST. So it's just like a little bit of a nice cherry on top. But okay, here we go. That's it. That's kind of it for the analysis we need to do. Recommendations is like best one would be DocuClipper, and then sort of cheapest one is either HubDoc or Scan to Invoice, and neither of them give you line items, but they're both cheap. HubDoc is the cheapest if you have Xero, obviously. So I guess those would be my recommendations. Maybe DocParser if you prefer the way that it parses things, but DocuClipper seemed better overall. And of course, LedgerGrind. Try it out. I don't even know what I'm going to charge for LedgerGrind. As you can see, the price is still a question mark. So if you want to buy it, if you want to use it, let me know. At the moment, it's free. Maybe you can tell me how much you'd like to pay for it if you want to pay for it. And yeah, hopefully this was helpful. If you want me to do like some other comparison of something in a similar area, I find this stuff really, really interesting. Tax and accounting is like, I did like tax law in university. It was super fun. So anyway, yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if you want me to do anything else. Let me know if I've missed anyone. And pass those receipts, man. Get to it. Pass those goddamn receipts.